Good evening. On behalf of the Commissioners and staff, I'd like to welcome you to the February 21st, 2023 meeting of the City of Roseville Transportation Commission. Can everyone please put all of your electronic devices on silent at this time? If you need or would like to follow along with an agenda, they're available at the end of the staff table. If you're at home watching, all meeting documents are available online at the city's website for the Transportation Commission. And if you plan to speak at tonight's meeting, please complete a blue speaker card and return it to the staff table. Now for roll call, Katrina, can you please call roll?
Absolutely. Youth Commissioner Mundal.
Here.
Festerson.
Here.
Husking.
Where is it?
Pell.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
Radford.
Present.
Roberts.
Here.
And Groff has an excused absence. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Commissioner Festerson, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I would, thank you. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for public comment. Public comment is a time for anyone who would like to address the Commission on any transportation-related item that is not on tonight's agenda. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject jurisdiction of the Transportation Commission and limit their comments to 3 minutes. The Brown Act, with certain exceptions, does not permit the Transportation Commission to discuss or take action on issues that are not listed on the agenda. And please state your name for the record. Sir.
Thank you. My name is Peter Eklund. I'm a resident of Rockland, but you're the only place around where transportation issues are discussed except at PCTPA, which never responds to anything in their meetings. And I just like the discussions here. And half my trips are back and forth to Roseville anyway, so I consider myself a semi-resident. Actually, the general thing I wanted to say is, over the next year, you're going to be very busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. The microtransit is going to come in. You're going to get comments back on that. You've got the South Placer project, which has now been given a name. And you've got the microtransit, which also has a name now. And you've got short-range transit plan, which I think is probably the most important planning project that has been done since 2005, because it's a big thing, and if actions aren't taken on that in certain ways, they probably will never get taken. So it's important that the consultant team that goes in has some sense of goals and priorities for communities, and I think there's really 3: integration of services, you're getting back ridership, and having really good fare structures and transfer policies. Right now, you're desperately in need of reform. The comment I'd like to make is I've suggested Mike Costa at PCTPA that because of the importance of the study that he consider putting in place a citizens oversight committee. And as I understand it, last time I talked to him, he basically agreed to do that. My suggestion to you is to write a letter to Mike and suggest, support such a committee and make an appointment of one of your members to that committee. Okay, so anyway, that's my general comment.
Thank you so much, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to make public comment? Okay, thank you so much. We'll now close the public comment portion of the meeting. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the November 15th minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion and a second to approve the November minutes?
So moved.
Or moved?
Second.
Seconded? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion is approved. Next item on the agenda is requests and presentations. Item 6.1, appointment of the 2023 Chair and Vice Chair to the Transportation Commission. We'd like to discuss and make nominations for the 2023 Chair for this commission. I'll open up this item for public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Okay. Seeing that there's no one else from the public that wants to speak to this item, I'll now close the public comment period for this item. Would anyone like to make a motion to recommend a commissioner as chair?
I would, please. I'd like to nominate Doyle Radford as our next chair for the committee.
Okay, Commissioner has made the motion for Doyle Radford. Do we have a second?
Can
not
I,
need a second?
Commissioner Groff was hoping I could read a statement.
Oh, thank you. Ed, please proceed.
To the commission, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, please proceed.
Okay. This is from Commissioner Groff. Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, I will be unable to attend the meeting tonight. I was scheduled to teach a class, and if I missed it, the schedule would have to be adjusted for months to come. This is the first meeting I have ever missed. Please consider this letter as my sincere interest to be considered for a leadership position within the Transportation Commission. I am willing to serve in either position if nominated to do so. I have served on the commission since April of 2019. Working with former Chairman Jeff Short, we envision this body to become even more relevant and outreaching to the public and other boards and commissions. I would like to work with all of you on some ideas to make this happen. Just briefly, I think most of you know my background is in law enforcement and in education at the community college level. Having a strong skill set in planning and enforcement has placed me in a unique position to provide a leadership role within the commission. Thank you for all your efforts, and I appreciate your consideration. Sincerely, Dan Groff.
Okay, thank you, Ed. So we have two nominations. Do we need seconds for the nominations, or do we just proceed to vote?
Well, I think for right now, we just have one nomination for Commissioner Radford to be the chair,
Okay.
and we were waiting for a second on that. So we could either proceed with that, or you could ask whether there are any other nominations that anyone wants to make. You could take them both as one motion for chair and vice chair, or you could do it separately, whatever the chair pleases.
Do you want me to restate it?
Yeah, no, I got it. I think we'll just open it up to vote for chair. So all those in favor?
There wasn't a second.
Audra
Oh.
seconded.
Audra, second? Okay, and do we have a second for Dan Groff?
So,
No motion on the floor for Commissioner Groff yet. That was just a statement that was
okay.
read by him. So right now, we have a motion on the floor for Commissioner Radford to be the chair.
Okay.
I accept.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right,
So then we would need a second for that if you wanted to proceed with that.
okay. Marilyn Festerson has made the motion, and Commissioner Huskings has seconded the motion for Doyle Radford as chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I believe the ayes have it. You want to do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Democracy in action. Congratulations, Doyle. You're the new commissioner, chair. Okay, and we have another motion on the floor.
Oh, is there a motion?
We need to make a motion. Thank you.
Commissioner, through the chair, I'd like to make the motion that Commissioner Groff serve as vice chair for the 2023 calendar year.
Okay, the motion has been made to have Commissioner Groff serve as vice chair for the 2023 calendar year. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second.
Audra seconded.
Okay. All those in favor to have Commissioner Groff serve as vice chair for 2023, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. All right, thank you.
You change seats.
Okay, now that we've selected a chair and a vice chair, moving on to item 6.2. This is the fiscal year 21-22 Annual Transit Performance Report. Staff, may we please have your presentation?
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Ed Schofield, Roseville's Alternative Transportation Manager. The item before you is Roseville's fiscal year 2022 year-end transit performance report. This report covers ridership numbers, key performance measures, and provides updates on some key transit-related projects. The ridership numbers and performance measures are for fiscal year 22, which was from July 1 of 2021 to June 30th of 2022. As a reminder, Roseville offers three types of service. We have our dial-a-ride and paratransit service, our commuter service to Sacramento, and our fixed route local service. The first slide we're showing this evening shows our fiscal year 22 ridership figures for all three of those services, as well as the overall numbers in comparison to the same quarters in fiscal year 21. As you can see, fiscal year 22 ridership increased over fiscal year 21. Ridership was up over 15% from the previous year. The commuter ridership, which had been hardest hit from the COVID pandemic, was up 65% from the last fiscal year, which was encouraging. All three types of our service was up in the fiscal year compared to the prior year. So while ridership was up significantly last year, and we're very happy about that, we still have a ways to go to get to our pre-COVID levels. This slide that's up here now provides a good comparison of Roseville Transit's overall ridership prior to, during, and post-COVID. The first two bars going left to right are the pre-COVID ridership numbers. The third bar is the first quarter in which COVID began to impact ridership. And so as you can see, if you're going from left to right, it is slowly increasing, but we still have a ways to go before we can get to those pre-COVID numbers. And truthfully, this type of graph is consistent with most transit agencies across the country. According to the American Public Transit Association, or APTA, public transit ridership continued to rise from previous years, but still averaged approximately 55 to 60% of pre-COVID numbers. And Roseville Transit is falling in line with this average and is at about 55% of pre-COVID numbers. All right. So while there are a number of service quality measures that we provided in your report, I just wanted to touch on a couple briefly. You can look at the other ones in your report. This current slide deals with our fare box recovery. The fare box recovery is a percentage of transit operating expenses that are covered by revenues from transit fares. In addition to passenger fares, additional revenue sources that go into this percentage include advertisement revenue and payments from other government entities that support transit services. Roseville Transit and all California transit agencies' minimum fare box recovery ratio is typically 15% system-wide. Under normal circumstances, if Roseville was below that 15% minimum, we would be required to adjust our services by either increasing fares and/or reducing service to meet that minimum standard. However, because transit agencies across the state continued to be below the minimum due to the COVID pandemic, Governor Newsom signed Assembly Bill 149, which provides statutory relief for these requirements through fiscal year 23. So with this in mind, you'll see that Roseville's fare box recovery ratio was 11.45%. It's still below the 15% minimum, but it's an improvement over the 8.9% the previous year. So it's a low percentage, but unfortunately, it's quite common throughout the state and probably throughout the country as well. One other quality performance I just wanted to quickly mention is our on-time performance. This measures a pretty important measurement that we review. From a rider's perspective, it's also one of the most important items when it comes to riding transit. A bus that's constantly late is unreliable and can have a negative impact on riders using transit to get to their destination. As you can see here, all three services are near or above the range that was established in our short-range transit plan. We fell just below our established range in commuter and fixed route service, but we're well above it in dial-a-ride and paratransit. So at this point, I would like to just provide some brief updates on some of the key planning projects that we're working on here. And there is a lot going on, as Mr. Eklund mentioned. One of the most exciting projects is the upcoming launch of Roseville's microtransit service, otherwise known as the Arrow. Microtransit is basically flexible transit. It's an on-demand option that provides riders the option, or it's more flexible than a fixed route service. It's sort of like Uber and Lyft. Last September, the City Council approved a contract with Spare Labs to provide the software necessary to implement this microtransit project. There continues to be a significant amount of work behind the scenes. However, in the next month or two, we expect to launch the Arrow. Once launched, the Arrow will replace Roseville's dial-a-ride and paratransit service. And once launched to the public, anyone that wishes to ride can download an app on their smartphone. And then from there, they'll be able to reserve a ride, they can pay for a ride, and they can track their ride for real-time arrival. The cost will be the same as our current dial-a-ride and paratransit, which is $3.75 per ride for regular fare and $2.50 for discount seniors. And those without a smartphone can still continue to reserve a ride like they currently do over the phone or on their computer. The goal with this app is to provide more flexibility for our riders, to provide another option for which they can ride transit, and hopefully we can attract more people that aren't currently using the system here in Roseville. Once the system is up and running, we plan to come back to the commission with a more detailed report and, show how the system works. This here is just a quick photo of what the vehicles will look like. In addition, to launching it, we're going to rebrand our vehicles. Our smaller buses, our cutaway buses, will have this design. We will also have, and this is actually a van, we will be bringing in some electric vans hopefully later this year to assist with this microtransit program, and they will have this type of design. So be looking for that in the near future. So another key planning project is the South Placer Express bus service, now known as Rapid Link. Rapid Link will provide limited stop bus service on weekdays every 30 minutes between Lincoln and the Watt I-80 light rail station. This is regional bus service that will be serving South Placer County and is being operated by Roseville Transit. The service will be run with 5 40-foot electric buses and will provide South Placer County residents with access to key destinations in the region such as the Galleria, Sutter and Kaiser medical facilities here in Roseville, and the light rail station. Funding for the 5 buses was secured through a state grant. The buses are scheduled to be delivered to Roseville at the end of this year. As part of this program, we will be constructing 2 overhead chargers at the Galleria. The overhead chargers are being designed now and expected to be constructed in summer or fall of this year. These charges will help keep the buses charged throughout the day until they can get back to the Corp Yard and get a full charge overnight. We initially had hoped to begin this service in spring or summer of this year. However, due to supply chain issues related to both the buses and the chargers, we now hope to launch the service in early next year. Here's just a slide of a couple of the buses. The top bus is Rapid Link bus, which I was just talking about, so it'll have a unique design when you see it on the freeway out on Highway 65 or Interstate 80. The bottom bus shows the future look of our electric buses, our commuter electric buses. In response to state mandates that are directing transit agencies to begin converting diesel and gas buses to cleaner running vehicles, Roseville has begun the process of converting its fleet to electric. In addition to the Rapid Link buses, the city has received federal and state funding to purchase 20 additional electric buses to replace Roseville's older diesel and gas buses that have passed their useful life. One of the biggest news items this past year was Roseville Transit receiving a $13.6 million award from the Federal Transit Administration to purchase electric vehicles. The funding was secured actually to purchase 7 additional commuter buses that you see up there, as well as 8 electric cutaway buses, the smaller buses, as well as the charging necessary, the infrastructure necessary to charge the buses. Roseville was one of only 19 California agencies to receive funding from this program. There was $1.7 billion available nationwide. The Federal Transit Administration reported that they received $7.7 billion in requests. Roseville Transit was the only Sacramento area agency that was awarded grant funding through this program. So with all these electric buses arriving in the next year or two, it's become necessary to build a charging depot to accommodate these buses. The slide you see now is a layout of the future charging depot that's being built right now out in the courtyard. The $4.5 million zero-emission bus charging depot broke ground in August of last year. The project includes construction of a new 30-space bus charging area to accommodate this transition to electric vehicles. As part of the initial construction that's currently underway, crews are installing the first 3 bus chargers that are capable of charging up to 9 buses. In addition to the installation of these 3 bus chargers, crews will provide additional electrical improvements to accommodate future charging of up to 30 buses. The charging depot is expected to be completed in fall of this year. I just wanted to put up a couple photos out there so you can see what it looks like. This one is just showing the construction area. The transit operations is kind of in the back right there, and the fleet on the back left, and then our fleet department's on the right. And then should be another photo. This is just showing where the chargers are going to be installed, and just kind of gives an idea that there's already a lot of work underway out there. So that's pretty exciting time for us out there. And so our last project overview tonight is the comprehensive operational analysis, which was mentioned earlier. Roseville received a grant to initiate a comprehensive operational analysis, or a COA, of its services. The COA will analyze Roseville's existing bus services and will look at ways to improve the services to make transit a more viable option for city residents. We will be looking at all commuter, fixed route, and dial-a-ride service. All aspects of our service will be up for discussion. We held a kickoff with Caltrans in November of last year. We expect to release an RFP in the next month or so to secure a consultant to assist with this process. So once underway, staff will provide regular updates to the commission, as we expect the commission to be actively involved in this process. So that's it for my presentation. As you can see, there's quite a bit going on, but any questions at this point?
Thank you so much, Ed. Commissioners, are there any clarifying questions for staff at this time?
I had a couple. Yeah. Thanks very much, Ed. Appreciate that. I was wondering, you mentioned you had the graph showing what ridership was pre-COVID, and then you looked at the fare box recovery ratio. Do you know how significant the change has been in the fare box recovery ratio, like from those last 2 quarters pre-COVID to now?
Yeah, it was, I mean, I don't have an exact number, but it was at least double or triple that. I mean, the commuter service alone was significantly higher, and that helped lift all of our percentages for all 3 services. I don't have a number, but I would think we were close to 25%, 20 to 25, so easily over the 15%.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And then also on the COA, that's pretty exciting. And I was just wondering, what kind of opportunities for public comment will the public have with the COA?
Oh, well, there'll be a number. Well, we're going to have a significant public outreach portion of the COA. So we have committees that will be formed. We're envisioning some open houses where people can come in to try to make it a little more convenient, come in at their own time, review things, provide comments. And then, as I mentioned, we'll have a number of presentations here, which would be another opportunity for people to provide comments. We'd like to be pretty thorough and get a lot of comments. And then, the hard part will be then dwindling it down to, to an action plan.
Yep.
But,
thank you.
okay.
I had a question through the chair. Mr. Schofield, thank you for your report. I enjoyed it, and I was really kind of taken aback. 375 for the microtransit, the arrow seems a little frugal. I'm curious, what's the distance that the riders can travel before we got to maybe charge them a second round? Is that within city limits?
Yeah, anything within city limits is 375, or 250 if you're 60 and older or disabled.
Oh, man, that's
Yeah.
great. I'll be getting that app.
Yeah.
So the vans are kind of cool, too. Had another question to kind of piggyback on Commissioner Pell. We have a game plan to get fare box recovery back to 15%. It looks like our governor gave everyone a free pass with the Assembly Bill 149, but I know we got the right minds working on it, and we want to see that number come back up so we're not getting in hot water.
Agree.
Thanks.
I had a question that kind of piggybacks on your question, and I think you kind of half answered it already, but I had written down here for the microtransit service of $3.75 a mile. I was curious how that compared to like a similar commercial service, but it sounds like maybe it's well cheaper. And then my second question would be, how does that compare to the services that you're taking offline because of the microtransit?
And that's a good
Cost to the
question.
user.
Yeah, you don't want to take your riders off your fixed route, right, and have them doing that. But it does cost more to use the microtransit service. So we would think people that are able to use our fixed route service will stay with the fixed route because of the lower cost. The idea with the microtransit is just serving those areas that don't have transit. We don't have a real good transit system right now, and with all of our growth, going out into West Roseville, and then even in East Roseville, the Maidu area, it's just we just need to provide more options for people, and so my hope is we can attract more riders from those areas that currently don't have any options. But we'll see how it goes, and we will be monitoring and trying to track the ridership on both the fixed route and the microtransit.
Well, you would assume that people would pay for a service that's a little bit more in tune to like what they need as far as service provided. It'll come at will to their door, take them wherever they need to go. So it seems to be kind of a clever idea, and if it's cheaper than using a commercial service, then it may be popular.
Yeah, I hope it's popular.
It's going to be popular.
All right. Thank you so much. And if there are no more questions, we'll now proceed to the public. Oh, yes or no? We'll open the public comment period on this item. Invite members of the public who wish to speak to this item to address the commission. Just a reminder, please keep your comments limited to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I have some comments on this item. I've gone through and looked at the 2000 2009 to the present, just the ridership by fiscal year and then also by quarter, and I've done it by service. And the interesting, the real problem for it's both for PCT and for Roseville Transit is, even though the overall fare ratio looks to be somewhat decent, 11%, the commuter had a loss of 91% from the from the immediately pre down to there, 91%, and it's only recovered to 82%. And you're never going to meet, you get back to normal if you don't increase the commuter, because none of the other services are even close to 15%. And microtransit is probably going to be, actually, it should be emphasized, microtransit is really just exchanging the current dial-a-ride. It's essentially the same service. The technology is different, but it's the same service. You're getting the same people, and you're going to get a little bit better rider productivity. The existing dial-a-ride is about 2, and you should be able to get about 3 to 4 because it's easier to make a reservation with the app and everything else. So. But it's still going to cost you $35 a ride probably to do it. So you're not gaining a whole lot. You're gaining, I think, public acceptance and ease of use, and the prices are still very reasonable. What you don't have, and this is the important thing that doesn't exist either with PCT, there's no transfers between fixed route and the existing dollar rate. A lot of agencies are now figured out a way to do that, but the reason that is important is productivity is based on travel length and travel time, and a little bit probably on the window thing. So the longer, if you're going all over Roseville, it's going to be long. And half of the people would, if you could drop them off at a fixed route station and let them ride for free, their capacity is there. Work out a place where there's a shelter or something, then your productivity goes up, your fare ratio goes up. And so that's something that really needs to be looked at. And I would encourage people to do it. In terms of the, and so you're going to see, it's really worth, it's definitely worth doing, but the bottom lines are going to be marginal, okay, and so expect that. In terms of the Rapid Link, this project was written very quickly, submitted and approved. It has some real problems that are going to come up. It steals ridership from two PCT routes, Route 20 and Route 10. And it doesn't operate on Saturdays. You know, this is not a commuter route. This operates all day. It's assuming that nobody wants to go from Roseville or Lincoln to downtown Sacramento because it takes you to the thing. That is wrong. There's a demand for that, and then also the PCT should be reimbursed for the fares that are lost because it's going right along the same routes as Route 20 in Rockland and Route 80 for Route 10, and that was never considered. I looked at all the reports. The overlap was never considered, so that's a real problem, and so it's. At the end of the 3-year pilot program, something is going to go because you can't keep them both. Okay, so anyway, just lowering some expectations there. But I think they're on the right track. And Ed, to he recognizes the issue with the commuter, and I'm sure he's the person to solve it. I have a couple suggestions. What you've lost in the riders is you've lost the monthly passes because you're going to get a lot of hybrid people who are not going in 5 days a week. You need to emphasize a 10-ride pass and make even a 20-ride pass so people will still use it, but you don't have to buy monthly passes. And then and the national, I've looked at some national data that so and the hybrid is going to increase, and so go after those people right now because they're out there. Right now it's not quite as congested, and the parking downtown is easier, but you can go after them right now. And the other thing is get rid of the surcharge for people who don't live in Roseville. It ruins your efficiency, and it's ridiculous. PCT, in its infinite wisdom, only has one bus leaving the Taylor Park and Ride. There's people out there who will ride the Roseville buses if you don't penalize them $1.25 for every trip. I don't understand it. You can take advantage of it. Those people want to ride it, and they're out there. So anyway, those are a couple things to throw in the hopper.
Thank you so much, sir. Is there anyone else in the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Okay. Seeing that there's no one else in the public wishing to speak to this item, I'll now close the public comment period. Commissioners, are there any questions or concerns made by the public that you would like staff to address at this time?
No questions or concerns, but the arrow is really exciting. It's in the right direction, I think. It's like when we did the first dial-a-ride, something that I think will take off. Sometimes the larger buses, you have deadhead. I think this might take care of that.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns anyone would like to add?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Eklund for his comments and his passion for transportation. It's nice to see somebody, and definitely hear your concerns. The staff's worked hard. It's trying to come up with a compromise for all parties, but I think we're all collectively trying to get to those rides available for those who want to utilize them and getting more people aware that this is a thing, and we do have buses and amenities that could get them around town. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments anyone would like to air?
Would you like a recommendation?
Well, I'm about to get to that. So. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to recommend the commission accept the fiscal year 21-22 year-end transit performance report?
I'd like to recommend.
Second.
Okay, we've made the motion and it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, the motion is approved. Now moving on to the last presentation tonight, Item 6.3, amendment to Chapter 11.33 of Title 11 of the Roseville Municipal Code, Transportation System Management Ordinance. Staff, can we please have your presentation?
Yeah, I'll just get it started. Tricia Litz from our staff was initially planning to do this. She's oversees our TSM program, but she became ill today. So Suzanne Engelke will be handling the presentation tonight.
Good evening, Commissioners. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an update on the Transportation System Management, TSM for short, program. This report includes an overview of the program and information about the process for updating the TSM ordinance. The TSM program is established under Chapter 11.33 of the Roseville Municipal Code, also known as the TSM Ordinance. The primary program goals of the TSM program are to improve transportation efficiency and air quality while reducing traffic congestion and emissions. These goals are accomplished by promoting alternative transportation modes such as biking, walking, transit, and ride sharing, coordinating transportation programs with local and regional agencies, and developing a system to implement the program. The TSM program is implemented by the Alternative Transportation Division. The focus is on outreach to Roseville businesses. Alternative Transportation learns about a new business during the project permit process. And during this review process, the city encourages businesses to develop their site to be walk, bike, and carpool friendly. Once the business site is built, the TSM program provides resources to the business to promote alternative to driving solo to their employees. The TSM program applies to work locations in Roseville with 10 or more employees. Sites with 50 or more employees are required to have a TSM plan that describes the site characteristics and amenities to promote the use of alternative transportation for commuting to and from work. These amenities could include park and ride parking spaces, bike parking for employees, showers, and carpool parking spaces. Businesses with 50 or more employees are also required to designate a site TSM coordinator. The coordinator serves as a liaison between the city and the tenant or employees at the site. This role is important because the coordinator receives updated information from the city about the TSM program and transportation activities and then relays it to their employees. The coordinator could include a business owner, a designated site employee, or property managers that manage work sites in Roseville. The TSM ordinance was first adopted in 1991 and revised again in 1997, 1999, and 2016. The purpose of the 2023 revision is to coincide with current transportation and air quality goals, including Roseville's general plan, to incorporate the California Green Building Code requirements for bicycle and electric vehicle equipment parking for new buildings, and to streamline development reviews and improve the implementation process for developers, businesses, and the city. As part of the revision, the city designed a new landing webpage for commuters on the city's website. This is a screenshot of the updated web page. Icons below the main image make it easier for people to find what they're looking for. TSM information is provided under the Business Resources tab. The public can also find information about the site on an additional landing page, roseville.ca.us/mycommute. A full-color poster was created to promote the new landing webpage. The idea of this poster is to direct people to the website for the most up-to-date information. People can type in the web address or scan the QR code to be taken to the website where they can access information they need for their commute. The poster is available on the website in PDF format, so site TSM coordinators can easily email the poster to employees and tenants. The goal is to have all businesses with 10 or more employees post this poster in an employee area, such as a lunchroom or break room. Our office offers these posters to local businesses for pickup. And this concludes the TSM presentation.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Okay, commissioners, are there any clarifying questions for staff at this time?
Thank you very much, Ms. Engelke. I have just a couple questions. The first was, it seems like there's kind of two different tiers. There's the sub 50 employee tier and the above 50 employee. Is there a way that, like, how does the city track, like, or is there communication back and forth if businesses start small and grow to larger than, going into those other tiers?
So as I mentioned, we look at new businesses when they come into our city and do a development review, and we can kind of gauge how big a business is going to be by what kind of business it is, if it's a storage facility or if it's a big office complex. So we kind of have a good idea going in what the size might be. If we don't know, we ask them during the review process. We also have a form that they fill out. So we want to try and get a name for each new business that comes into Roseville. And so we get that contact information, and when they go into the city's site and they fill it out, they input the information, it asks them a question: do you have more than 50 employees, which shoots them off to another page. And that's where we get the information as the showers, how many parking spots they have, how many are designated for what purpose, that kind of thing. You said, now what about a business that grows from 10 and more?
Yep.
That we may have a little bit of problem trying to learn how much they have. Hopefully, once we know that we have that contact at the 10, if we find out they're growing, we can reach back out to that contact person and ask.
Thank you. I guess next, how can an employee, if an employee doesn't see this information at their job site, and if they're interested in it, how could they, find out who their coordinator is at the site and, look to get that information?
Exactly. How do they know who that person is if that person's not sending out information, right? We would love for them to contact us, the city, and then we could put them in touch with their site coordinator. Right now, our database is kind of old, and we're updating our database, and we're working with our IT department to streamline it so it's more up to date, and we need everybody's help to make that happen. So we would love for them to contact us, and if we can't find that person, maybe they can help us find a person for them.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah. And I guess just one last one. Is what other tools are there in the city's toolbox to try and, increase or really decrease traffic congestion, decrease greenhouse gas emissions, increase alternative transportation? Is this the only tool, or are there other tools in the toolbox?
Do you want to take this one in?
No, go ahead.
So the TSM program, what we do is we try to hold meetings where those site coordinators come in, and we actually tell them some of the programs that we have going on to reduce greenhouse gases. I'm going to allude to some of those in my staff update in the next presentation. But we're also going to be sending them things through email about the different programs we have going on, and we hope to get, once we have a good database of all the names, to be doing that 4 times a year, letting them know some of the projects that we have going on. Some of the things coming up that are really exciting, I don't know if this is time to share it, but there's going to be an electric bike voucher program. This would be something that we could tell them to tell their employees about. So, cool. State of California is working on that. Second quarter of this year, you'll be hearing more about it.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, any other question?
I have one. So I'm wondering, I know that you discussed about the posters, that you were hoping that it's going to be posted in lunchrooms and whatnot, but I'm wondering what other forms of advertising there will be so more workers can see this, or maybe more like non-employers or workers, maybe just normal pedestrians, can use these services as well. I'm wondering how broad this advertising will be.
We rely on our social media a lot to get the word out. And so you'll be seeing it on all the different social media platforms. As I mentioned, we have a landing page for the public too, so that the public can be aware of some of these things that are going out. So social media is the best way for us to reach a lot of people about the different opportunities we have for reducing greenhouse gases.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question. Suzanne, you did a great job stepping in. You didn't skip a beat. So it may have already been answered. I was going through the comprehensive report. I think Commissioner Pell asked most of the questions that was on my mind. Did we identify how many businesses have 50 or more within Roseville? Do we have that number?
I don't know how many businesses we have right now, 50 and more. When we use that 50 and more, I should elaborate, it's 50 or more on a given shift. So you could have 50 employees, but we want 50 employees there at one time too. So I want to clarify that.
That would
How
lower
many?
it significantly.
Yeah. We need to work on our database to have good numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any other commissioner questions? Okay, I'd like to open the public comment period on this item and invite members of the public who wish to speak to the item, come forward and address the commission. Please be reminded you are limited to 5 minutes. Sir.
Okay, it's a hat trick tonight, 3 responses. I read this over, and I have a couple comments, constructive comments, I hope. First of all, the title TSM threw me a loop for a little bit, because Transportation Systems Management in normal transportation planning terms means infrastructure, like signal prioritization, ramp metering, HOVs. TDM is actually, I think, what is kind of implied here, which transportation demand management, which is really trying to reduce trips through changes in human behavior. And I'm not trying to change the name of it. The problem is that when you see TDM, you're going to see TDM. SACOG has a document called the Strategic TDM Plan. And that's where your guidance should come from, is that document. And it's even listed as a priority in the new MTP SCS. You all know what that means, right? And so don't change it. But I'm just saying is that you're going to see the term TDM, and that's the one you should really think about. In terms of the specifics, the 2 major changes in there on EV chargers and parking are actually mandated by the state. So whether they're in the TSM or not, the city has to do it. They're mandated. So, and there's another thing I found that's mandated in sort of buried within the Cal Green document is that, every development has to be given a manual of how to operate everything in it. And one of them is you have to provide a list of all the available public transit options. That has to be part in a document that's given by a developer to a facility. The big problem, as I see it, is transportation demand management looks at both ends of a trip, the origin and the destination. And since you're focusing on commuter trips, it's the employer and the residents. And there's no mention at all of residential TDM measures. And those are really important. And actually, in the Cal Green plan, there's a whole section on residential mitigations, and there's 2 sections, ones that are required and the other ones that are voluntary. And the required one are the EV charges. And so those you have to do those anyway. For multifamily develops, you have to have EV charges at the rate specified, even if it's not in the TSM, because it's a state mandate. For bicycle parking, it's voluntary, but it's something you should really look at, because basically, if you're going to have a plan, if all you're going to put in it is the things that are required, it really isn't a plan because you have to do it anyway. What you really should be looking at is things that you want to go beyond the plan, which the Cal Green asks you to do. And the voluntary biking for multifamily developments is particularly important. I'm going to list a couple of things. One is the first mile, last mile. There's a lot of places in Rockland and Roseville where people live further than a half a mile, which is sort of the normal transit walking distance, and up to 1.5 miles, or maybe even 2 miles, easily done with a bike. So for multifamilies, if you can have secure bike storage or a bike locker for the people who live there at the rate specified in the voluntary measures, that's a great thing to do. That's a great thing to do. And then you'll have some parking at the other end at a major stop with a shelter or something like that, and people can get on the buses. So I would suggest that you look at the SACOG's TDM strategic plan, and also look at, there's a website called the Association for Transportation, for Commuting Transportation. As a retiree, I become a member for $40. It's a lot more for organizations, but very much worth it. And they have a list of TDM plans from all over the country. Boulder, Colorado, medium-sized cities, and you can take a look at them and see what they do. So I would suggest that you look at residential. You don't have to do it as part of this, I'm not, but I think the next time around, that's where you should go.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to comment on this item? Okay. Seeing that there's no one else wishing to speak in this item, I'll now close the public comment period. Commissioners, are there any additional questions or comments for staff at this time? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to recommend the City Council approve the amendment to Chapter 1133 of Title 11 of the Roseville Municipal Code, also referred to as Transportation System Management Ordinance?
So moved, approves as given, please.
All right. Motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion is approved. All right, now on to staff and commission reports. Staff, do you have any informational items to report?
We do.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am Suzanne Engelke, Assistant Transportation Planner, and I'm here to update you on activities happening in the Alternative Transportation Division. And I have some slideshow, a couple of things I can tell you about here, things that are in my wheelhouse. A new group called the City Trails Team, also known as the CTT, was formed last fall in an effort to bring together those departments with a vested interest in the development, maintenance, and programming, along with future trail network in Roseville. The CTT consists of a lead team member from Alternative Transportation, Parks, Recreation, and Libraries, and Development Services. We have a sub-team consisting of members from other departments to advise us on special projects and issues. Among the benefits of the CTT is a more streamlined approach for the public's comments and suggestions. Since the inception, CTT members have collaborated to resolve several issues from residents, and we continue to learn from each other. Currently, the team is working on trail signage, such as replacing old signs, labeling underpasses with roadway names, and developing a wayfinding system for our trails. Bike Fest. Bike Fest is celebrating its 30th anniversary of bringing bike safety to the community. Volunteers will be in the town square on June 3rd, leading children and adults through bike safety activities and distributing free helmets. The committee chose to move this fun event to early June when kids are getting out of school and they're ready to hit the trails and roadways over the summer. And that is a picture of all the volunteers in their pretty green shirts. Next is Crossing Guard Appreciation. It was celebrated by schools on February 8th. Each school does their own thing to recognize the crossing guards. Roseville Kiwanis celebrated guards in November with little goodie bags that they distributed, and they plan to celebrate them again this spring as a way of thanking them for keeping the kids in our community safe. Something new this year, Winter Walk to School Day will be the week of March 6th. Participating schools will have special giveaways for students who walk or roll to school on this day, And if there is a commissioner who is interested in helping by either walking around or handing out incentives, please contact Rebecca Espenshade, and her email address is right there, and she can work out the logistics. Or contact Ed.
Yeah. It's easier, just contact me.
Also, we have something new, celebrity crossing guards. It's going to be Wednesday, May the 3rd, which is our regular Bike to School Day. A variety of local celebrities will be at locations with the crossing guards, and they'll be giving away things to students who are walking and rolling and participating on this day. Again, if you would like to be a celebrity crossing guard, please contact Rebecca or get in touch with Ed. For the first time last fall, a Roseville school participated in the National Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day on November 14th. Students at Roseville's Diamond Creek Elementary School received special giveaways such as beanies and bracelets as part of the walk, and teachers taught lessons on Ruby Bridges that day. Ruby Bridges, as just a first grader, was the first African-American child to desegregate an all-white elementary school in Louisiana in 1960. This special day to remember Ruby Bridges began in 2018 in San Mateo, California, and is gaining momentum each year. We hope to have more schools be able to participate in the walk next year. I want to update you on the progress of our active transportation plan. The city needs to update both our bicycle master plan and our pedestrian master plan. And the industry trend is to combine them into one document called an active transportation plan, which is what we're going to do. A scope of work has been written and is going through internal reviews at this time. The next steps are to distribute an RFP and select a consultant, and you'll be hearing more about this process and how to participate at future meetings. Everybody's going to have a chance to get involved. Thank you for your time tonight.
Great. Thank you, Suzanne. Any other staff updates? Okay, with that, we'll proceed to the commissioners. Do you have any informational items to report? I'll start with you.
No?
Okay.
No, I don't.
Nothing further?
Nothing for me?
No, I don't. I just want to thank staff for all the information, all your great hard work tonight. You make it so easy for us to, understand exactly what you're doing and where we're going, so thank you.
All the presentations were really, really interesting. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to thank staff and the commissioners for the warm welcome this evening. I'm not sure if it's the right place, but there was some great engineering work that was done on the Miners Ravine Trail in some of the storms, where I'm not sure if anyone knew, but they had to close the trail and do major engineering and creek bed erosion work. Has resulted in some trail damage on Miners Ravine Trail south of Southside Park. I don't know if there's a plan to repair that, but just in case anyone is riding through there, watch out.
All right. Thank you so much. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right. Second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
I'd like to see someone pose.